Now we're going to look at adduction, adduction. So we're drawing towards the midline. I love to use a block here. Now, when you're pregnant, because that's the community we're working with, we rarely have the legs together because you can see in my own body, most pregnant folks have wider hips. And so this can feel a little off balance, but also we need that space for a baby. So we're not squeezing the legs in. I like to use a block. So something as simple as Utkatasana. So then I also get a little inner thigh strengthening, helps the pelvic floor. So I'm grounding my thighs and I'm trying to squeeze in towards the midline. So I'm adducting in. This shows up in so many poses. We can do this in down dog. We can do this in Tadasana. I love to do it also in Utkatasana, but I use 2 blocks for that. Let me show you. For Utkatasana, I also put a block between my feet to help my feet stay parallel. What I have found before I added that block is sometimes we put the block in, people go into sit into Utkatasana and their feet turn out and then they end up collapsing in. So by adding this block, we get a little bit more support. So I'm adducting in, squeezing everything towards the midline, coming into Utkatasana. We have a bunch that we can also do on the floor, so let's transition down. So for our healthy hips of adduction drawing in, let's see where else we can place the block. So here we are, block between the thighs, and we can do it something as simple as half plank. So I'm now taking my tailbone slightly towards my block, coming forward, nice half plank, maybe even half chaturanga. You can also do adduction of the thighs with your block in down dog. So I'm squeezing my thighs in towards my block. Another of my favorite is actually some muscle energy work. So we're going to come on to our bottoms and work on squeezing a block between the knees. So this one, I'm taking the block right up here to my inner knees and I'm squeezing in. I actually learned this from a physical therapist years ago when I had some SI pain and also pubic pain. So I'm squeezing into the block. You can also do this with a big blow-up ball. So as I squeeze in, and just even as I'm doing it now, I feel a huge release in my SI joints. So if we're always externally rotating, that can also create some issues for your lower back. So this adduction energy in can be really helpful. So far we've looked at poses to do external rotation, internal rotation. We just did all that adduction. So now let's take a moment to look at abduction, the other side of this. So that is taking the thigh bones away. So I'm going to use back to my band here. So I'll just put it between, so I'll just wrap it around my thighs and now I'm pressing out into the band and I'm getting my abductors working. So we can find that same outward press in so many other poses. So another pose you can do this is a half side plank. So in prenatal, we're never doing full side plank, we're doing half. So I'm grounding down and I'm going to lift and lower. So I'm getting that abduction in that top leg. We can also do this in some standing poses. Now I wouldn't necessarily use my strap here, but I could use some isometric energy where I'm pressing my feet down and pressing out. So let's pop up and take a look at some of those. So this one is from Padottanasana. So I'll widen my legs. I'm keeping my feet parallel. So just the act of widening my legs, I'm abducting them. I'm moving away from the midline. And then I will come forward, keep my feet parallel, and then the energy is pressing out. So I'm feeling as if I'm pushing against 2 imaginary walls on either side of my feet. So I'm pushing out. That's waking up my outer hips here. So I'm abducting. We can see that same idea in a lot of our standing poses. So I'm pressing my feet down and pressing my thigh bones out. That's getting that abduction. So now we're really getting deep into the different openings of the hips for healthy hips and helping your pelvis open during birth. The next video, we're going to look at flexion and extension.